Yo, what's up, everybody? Happy Monday. We're here to talk some mindset today. I'm excited for this. What's up? I see we got Melissa in the chat already. First one in the chat. We got good. Happy Monday to you. I'm excited to be here having this conversation. One, I'm spending time with one of my favorite people on planet Earth. If you guys don't know, she left me for like a week. It was miserable. It was awful. Oh my gosh. I don't think I've ever missed a person more than I missed Caroline this past week. But she's home. We're back in the studio.
We're back because it's a special day, Marlon. It's not just Monday. It's the day of my people. Today is St. Patrick's Day, and actually, you're not wearing green, so you have to get a pinch. Where's okay? I'll take the pinch back.
So I got green. I got green on.
I'm happy to be on here. I'm glad to be back home. I'm ready to get back after it. We've had quite a few meetings this morning, just getting prepared for the week. But I see that we have a special guest that's actually backstage with us right now and ready to hop on. So we're lucky enough to bring on.
You know, I just realized I'm the one that has to click the buttons.
No, I can't. I can do it. I got mine here too. So
surprise! Happy Thanksgiving and happy St. Patrick's Day.
He's also wearing his green.
Mellow yellow. He's got his green on. He's ready to go.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you for coming on too, Bobby. I know that we've had a busy morning and day as well. So good to see you. Look at that. Everybody's like, Bobby. So we're all, and he's drinking out of a green cup.
I mean, it's just the festivities.
See?
I should make these. Look at what I'll do is I'll turn these lights behind me green. I don't have my cell phone up here. I can't control the lights.
Excuses. I like it. Got his green hat on too.
Got the watermelon hat. Well, you know what? I'm excited because today's conversation really, it's something that as I woke up this morning, a lot of people don't know this. When I wake up, I do something where it's called standing guard the doorway of your mind. It's something I learned from Jim Rohn. It's something I learned from Tony Robbins, which effectively means when you wake up, you've got to be intentional about what you're letting come in, because your subconscious mind at those early morning, those first 30 minutes to 60 minutes, it's wide open. You're still kind of in this half sleep, half awake state. And so you're very, you're suggestible. You're easily suggestible. So if you start your day off with immediately going to the news and seeing war and crime, that's a way to start your day off on a negative decline. So instead, I will pick up my Bible. I will listen to something positive. I will listen to something motivational. And I'm making sure that I'm fueling myself up proper, just like eating a good meal to start the day. And today, as I was listening to like a sermon from my pastor, and he was talking about how in life, you often have to start something new. When you feel called, when your purpose, when your passion, if your spirit calls you to something new, entrepreneurship, starting a new business, building a new team, going with a new strategy, that there's going to be these seasons where you've got to get started. And when you get started, you got to get started small, even though you may have just come from something big. And I find this to be a recurring theme in entrepreneurship and business, where as people pivot into this lane, they might be coming from, well, I was the man at my job. I was making $150,000 a year, or I was the man in high school, or I was the lady. And they were prominent in these other areas of their life. And now that they've got to start this new thing, it's almost like they're unwilling to take the initial first steps, because those initial first steps are baby steps. They're small. And I want to talk about this because I know on my personal journey, I'm going to assume the same for you, Caroline, and for you, Bobby, that there have been times where you've had to transition into a new beginning, and you may have come from a big ending. The last chapter was a massive ending, but now the new chapter, it's these little baby steps, but you still have to take action nonetheless. And
I would agree. There's actually, I've quoted this a few times and it was really cool. It was actually a Justin Timberlake lyric that I heard. And it goes, sometimes you have to put the car in reverse to go forward. Sometimes you have to take a step back to see everything, and then you can go after a new target. And Bobby and I have talked about this just kind of in what we've been doing. You do like, we've talked about this when we were in Utah. What is our goal? How do we get there? What needs to happen? And what do you need to get away from to help you accomplish those goals? So I just like that always in my head. Sometimes you got to put the car in reverse to go forward, because you can't get out of the spot you're in unless you make a change. So that's what I'd say. Bobby, do you have any feedback or input on that?
Bobby,
interesting. You made a comment. You made a comment, Marlon, first thing about phones. And my wife literally, I don't know if she watched something, listened to something, but when you pull your phone out, the first thing in the day, there's a dopamine drop, and it's different, and you use up that amount of dopamine as opposed to going out and exercising or doing something else. So I'm trying to be intentional about not grabbing the phone the first thing we do. We do a lot of scripture study in the morning, but it's like, okay, who's got this question for me? And I find if you do that, you will jump into work immediately and you don't take care of yourself. There's no self-care happening. So that's first and foremost. Do something else. Also the color of the screen, if you put it on kind of the gray and black mode, that is also better. There are a lot of smarter people than we are that have designed these phones to have us addicted, and our neural pathways so that we're always connected. And there's nothing better. It's why I love to be in the mountains, biking, fishing, skiing, whatever, and unplugging so that we can do that. And then there's time for work. I mean, there's plenty of hours in the day to get a full, 6, 8 hours, 10 hours of work if that's what you want to do. But you've got to find time to unplug. So that is huge. So I love that.
100%. And so, by the way, what Bobby's talking about is a quick life hack with the phone. At nighttime, I turn my phone. There's a 3-click hack I put on the side of my phone where it will turn the screen into red. So it shifts into red, so no blue light. And then during the day, I do keep it in grayscale, they call it, where everything is black and white. You don't have all the addicting colors because it will suck your attention in and then you're lost. But, I'll share that on my Instagram later because it is an interesting little life hack that will help decrease the amount of time you're on your phone. And so coming into this, actually, I kind of want to share a little bit of a story because I was thinking about this morning that before I got into entrepreneurship, and Bobby, I kind of want to dive into your story as well, because this is in alignment with you're exiting one season and entering into a new season, and how sometimes you're leaving on level 99 and you're restarting back on level 1 as far as the new realm you walk into. And before I got into entrepreneurship, I came from a place of, I think you guys know my backstory. I was a parkour athlete. I was a parkour coach. I did that professionally, both as an athlete and as a coach. And my buddies and I, my 3 best friends, so the 4 of us, we grew the largest parkour, not just community, but we grew the largest parkour, you could say, organization, school in the country. We found out from our insurance broker. They told us when we were renewing our insurance policy, based on our student count, based on the amount of people we had coming into our facility, it was like, at least according to our data, you guys have the largest parkour program in the US. And so we felt pretty like, I'm young, 20 something years old. I'm finding out like this is the first time I'm ever number 1 at anything ever. And it felt really dang good. And that was amazing. I was on a peak. However, wasn't really making the money I wanted to make. I didn't quite have the lifestyle I wanted to have. And so I had to transition, and I transitioned into entrepreneurship. And as I was making that transition into like new entrepreneurship, into real estate, I was knocked off of being the best of the best at what I was doing to now I barely know what I'm doing. I'm almost taking these steps forward blindly, and I still have to take action, even though like my flesh, my body, my ego didn't want to be a newbie again. It didn't want to start over. And I find a lot of people I come across, they're very intelligent. It's almost like the smarter you are, it's like the harder it is to make money because you know too much and you're unwilling to take those first foolish steps. You're unwilling to take action because maybe you're thinking, well, that last thing I committed to for the last 9 years, because this was the reality. I don't talk about this a lot. When I committed to the parkour, I thought that was going to be my life forever. I really thought I'm going to be a parkour athlete. We're going to open up 1 billion gyms. And so I was fully married to this. And then I now had to go and do something else. But because I was fully committed and I was willing to start over, I was willing to pivot. I was willing to become a new person again, a newbie at a new industry, which was real estate. I started to grow again. And the lessons I learned in parkour about community, the lessons I learned about how to talk to people, about how to coach, about how to properly and effectively communicate, how to overcome challenges, funny enough, start serving me extremely well. And they came back around in the real estate realm. And now, even as I'm pivoting in life again, it's coming, like the lessons I learned come back. But the big thing is I was willing to take action even after stepping off of what you could call like a grand ending. I was willing to start little again. And I just want to emphasize, when you guys are getting started with something new and you pivot, odds are when you restart, you're going to start small. You don't get to start back at level 99. And, I'm curious, Bobby, if you could relate to this, because I know you did real estate in the past, but then you stepped away, you built your company, you exited that company, and now you're coming back into real estate again. But are you immediately starting at the same scale as where you exited that previous company?
It's different. And before I answer that, it's interesting. I want to give you a couple examples of names you may recognize, Marlon, that are doing exactly what you talked about. There's have you heard of the name Steve Jobs before? Oh no. Okay, so you've heard Steve Jobs. He's we're going different camera angle.
You're switching it.
he was this guy, for those of you who don't know him, co-founded Apple, became a huge success. He was forced out of his company, and sometimes we're either forced out of an industry or we choose to leave the industry. But instead of giving up, this was back in 1985, and I'm not an Apple guy, but he started that. I'm still waiting for that phone Caroline's going to send me. But anyway, this next company, he didn't give up. I think there's a pattern you'll see in the individual. He didn't give up, started this next, forced him back to Apple, where it transformed into one of the most valuable companies in history. Another guy, his name, Elon Musk. He's another guy you may have heard of. PayPal. Co-founded PayPal, major success there. Again, instead of staying in that industry, he put all his eggs in this Tesla basket and SpaceX. Again, there's several. I mean, Walt Disney. If you're a sports person, there's a couple of sports people I'll name. Who would you say, not current, but one of the best basketball players of all time, back in the 1900s? Like Jordan.
Michael Jordan, yep.
Right, Michael Jordan. And people dominate, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, whatever. But Michael Jordan, he left. Do you remember what he left to play?
Baseball. He went to play baseball for a while.
He left to play baseball. Didn't really work out. He wanted to reinvent himself. Anyway, whatever. And then he jumped back into basketball, 3 NBA titles after that. So there is a history, if you're looking from sports perspective, from, the Albert Einsteins, the Thomas Edisons. Thomas Edison was fired for being unproductive. And we know what happened with him and General Electric. We all have now lights because of these individuals that were successful. They left and then they came back. And I would say my journey was very similar. You mentioned something. We can't really live on the touchdown we made in high school, the game-winning touchdown, the rest of your life. Can anyone in the side chat quote back in 82, Through a Pigskin a Quarter Mile? What movie? Back in 82, I could throw a pigskin a quarter mile.
Napoleon Dynamite, Uncle Rico.
Uncle Rico.
Oh,
Caroline
Rico.
1 point for Caroline. And then he'd do this weird thing. Like, okay, dude was awesome. He was a legend in his own mind, is what I say. But my journey was similar. Real estate, you can't live on that. Kind of a big deal in that era. It was number 1 in the West and number 4 in the nation for gross closed units with Prudential. And they were not a small brokerage. I did a lot of volume. I was burned out and jumped out just before the clash. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Look at that beautiful man.
So good.
That is hilarious. There's Uncle Rico. And there is the Uncle Rico in all of us when we sit back and we go, man, I was a legend. And it's okay to utilize that celebrity, that experience, that touchdown to propel you, to not talk down to yourself, to tell yourself, I'm a loser. 20 years later, what am I doing? Who cares? Start over tomorrow, start over yesterday, start over today. But I jumped out of real estate. I was so burned out and I loved to reinvent, jumped into healthcare, knew nothing about it. We took a business, built it from scratch. It was an idea, built it on a platform as a service. It was another guy's idea. And then I was able to come in and kind of help him lay the foundation and build this company and become a partner to about 8,000 client sites. And again, knew nothing about healthcare. It's like, cool. Okay, we won at that game. Okay, now what do I want to do? Let's jump back into real estate. I do know how to throw a pigskin a quarter mile. I've done that before, back in the late 1900s. Let's do it again. And it's fun to jump back into real estate, having that experience. If you're on the call and you have business experience or you've bought a home, guess what? You are of the 5%. Most of the people in the world don't own a home. They rent, right? They're not homeowners. So chalk that up as a success and use it to propel you to move forward if that's what you want to do. But we have a limited amount of time on this earth. write your own book, write your own chapter, and it's going to be riddled with what people call failures. I look at those as learning experiences and successes. When you drop the ball and fumble, guess what? You score a touchdown on the next. What do you want to focus on, the touchdown or dropping the ball? You learn from it and move on. Quit crying.
That's the biggest thing. It's experience. And I think, I almost think people who don't have any sort of background in athletics are at a disadvantage when it comes to entrepreneurship in this game, because in the world of athletics and sports, you're constantly going to be you're going to play someone who's better than you. It doesn't matter how good you are. You're going to get your butt whooped and you're going to learn from it, or you're going to be given the option to learn from the experience. And there's only one way to get better. It's like you can't sit on the sideline and just watch another player play. You've got to actually get out there on the court. Like, we've been playing pickleball a lot recently, and those first couple of games, I was just getting my butt whooped left and right. Now I still get my butt whooped, but it's a little bit less. Like, Caroline's brutal on the pickle. There's no mercy with this girl. I'm like, dude, I'm just getting started.
No.
But
I'm not taking it easy on you. You'll never learn. You'll never learn.
But that's what happens, right? Because I'm willing to go out there and I'm willing to take the action again, and I'm willing to start new, right? I don't just fall back. It's like you mentioned Michael Jordan. He didn't just say, well, you know what? I'm just so dang good at basketball, I'm not going to really go all in on this baseball stuff. While he played baseball, he showed up with the same demeanor, the same work ethic, the same hustle and grind. And his curiosity, his passion brought him back to basketball. But while he was there, he was willing to start small again. He was willing to take the action and play to the season that he's in.
I would also chime in there for both of you, because we got to play pickleball and Bobby was really good. And Bobby says he doesn't play. Last night I played with Marlon, and I was actually shocked at how good you were last. If you guys know pickleball, there's a section in the kitchen, and we used to just use our power. We'd use our brute force and get our butts kicked by 60, 75-year-olds. Very impressed. He had a really nice drop shot, went out, got a good point last night. But you're practicing all weekend. Every time I was texting, you're like, I'm at the courts, I'm playing pickleball. So I wasn't doing that. And I'm like, wow, I was really stunned by it. But I was thinking about it because you had a friend, Kobe, that played with us last night. He's only been playing for a month. And it goes into, I had a conversation today with one of our business partners, Rax. And she was telling me, the highs and the lows of being in real estate. And she's like, you know what? I have learned a lot this year. I've learned so much this year compared to before. And it's because we're hanging out around higher level players and people that are pushing us outside of our comfort zone. So when you play any sport, we're going to talk about pickleball because we've all played it. We suck at first. And then you hang around people that are better than you, and you realize, oh, I can learn I can use a backspin on the ball. I can learn a drop shot. I can learn how to negotiate this judgment down to make more equity in on a deal, because somebody else has shown me that it's possible and how to get started. But you don't know until you're willing to be like, I don't know what I'm doing, and mess up. Go ahead, Bobby.
Well, I was going to say, I think it's with anything. I mean, we're talking about sports analogies. Some play sports, some don't. Some are mathletes, right?
Yep.
Some are a lot smarter than we do, and they're book smart. It's capitalizing on that and learning how to life hack. I started skiing really in college, so I started later in life. We were too poor. We didn't have money to ski, and what I wanted to do was ski more than anything. So what did I do? I went and got a job at the ski resort where a free ski pass comes with it. So I'm still working and I'm kind of double dipping, and I went and bought my own ski stuff. Same thing with motorcycling. We didn't motorcycle in my family. I wanted a motorcycle. So negotiated with dad. Hey, dad, I want one of these. The answer was no. Okay. I don't believe people say no. It's just, you haven't given them enough information to say yes. So, hey, dad, what if this? Hey, dad, what if that? No. What if I save my own money? And in his mind, he was thinking, this kid will never save up enough money. Sure. And so saved up enough money, went and bought my first dirt bike. It's like, ta-da, look what I got, dad. And it's like, oh, crap. And then I bought it, sold it, made some money on it, bought the next one, sold it. I'm 40, 50 motorcycles later. And I think my dad looks back and goes, yeah, I should have let this kid fly. I should have just let him, do his own thing. But I think the message is, learn how to life hack. If you don't know real estate or you're not an athlete, doesn't matter. You can learn anything. Every single one of us here started in diapers, and here we are, right?
Well, you know what? And this is an interesting thing, right? Have y'all started to see this? I noticed this as a big trend, and I'm telling everyone right now, I used to do this. Well, no, it was that's the thing.
He knows everything.
So, look, I grew up very strict Caribbean parents, right? Jamaican and Trinidadian. My dad's Jamaican, my mom's Trinidadian. And it was like a matter of you, like, what college are you going to? Better be getting straight A's. We know you're capable of it. I remember I came home with a B on my report card when I was in middle school. I lost Christmas that year. Like, it was that strict.
Oh,
And the
wow.
expectation was, we know you can get an A. So you got this B, not because you're not capable. You got this B because you're lazy. And
Yeah.
that just, it stuck to me. And it was true. So I was rewarded in life for having the answer before I took action, for knowing the answer before the test was given to me. That was how I was taught. So then I enter into the real world where I'm looking for this same sort of feedback loop where I'm supposed to have the answer. And those feedback loops exist. They're called regular jobs. They're called being an employee for someone else. Nothing like wrong about that by any stretch of the imagination. But then I start learning about, I want to create a life of freedom. We hear people talk about freedom, financial freedom, create life by design, have this lifestyle of travel and all these things, which are all possible. But to get to that place, in order to get that reward, you now have to be willing to take on the risk. And so living this riskier, out of the box lifestyle requires that you take action before it's clear that this is the correct action to take.
How hard was it for you though? Because if you were getting rewarded on knowing the answer before it took place, and then you went out to go and try and do something new, were you kind of paralyzed by having to be a perfectionist and you wouldn't take the next step?
Well, that's what it was. It was a constant struggle, like analysis paralysis. I know that so well. Like, I mean, if you opened up the dictionary, the picture of me was there next to analysis paralysis, because I would overthink and overthink and overthink. And I felt like I was working because I'm trying to come up with the best way to do it. And then, no offense, I'm watching people way dumber than me make way more money than me. And so then I'm like, well, who's the real idiot here? Because they're accomplishing their goals. They're building their businesses. They're making a ton of mistakes along the way, but at the end of the day, they're actually crossing the finish line, bloodied, beat up, and bruised. And I'm still standing at the start trying to figure out what's the best technique to get going.
Yeah. And whether your shoes match your pants, right?
Yeah, like it. And so it's an interesting thing that we see a lot of people are in that place of, they feel like that you already have to have the entire landscape picture perfect before you take action. Sorry, Gerald. Love you, bro. But like, they feel like they have to have the entire. So right now, Caroline, Bobby, you guys are in a place where you're building up some notoriety, you're building up some celebrity. Bobby's even on Instagram now,
I know.
you guys, like, which is phenomenal.
Yes.
He's on the internet. We can find him. And people are starting to see the successes you're having, the successes that people work with you are having. And let me ask you this. At the very beginning, did you know on what's today, March 17th,
St. Patrick's Day. How did you forget today is St. Patrick's Day?
Did you know 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that this was going to be exactly where you were going to be? This is exactly what this moment was going to look like? That
Yes, actually, I shook the Magic 8 Ball at Cracker Barrel. No, I had no idea. And actually, Bobby and I just had a phone call earlier today, and he's like, are we even in alignment on this? And I was like, yes, actually, I think we are on alignment. But I had no idea it would come to this. I thought about this, Bobby. I know you. We all know each other because we're in sub 2. If somebody had not if somebody hadn't told Pace Morby to go build his own community and start educating people, I would have never met you, Bobby. Like, we have so much fun together, and we have a lot in common, but we would have never met each other if somebody else didn't have an idea and we didn't get to come from that web, and it intermingles all these different ecosystems. So I would have never had the idea, even our friendship. I would have never met you if you hadn't decided to get into it. We didn't read Rich Dad Poor Dad. We would have never been here. I know. Look at this.
never met.
We're going on 5 years strong, baby.
Yeah, I think for me, it's clear. Divine intervention, call it what you want. I believe paths cross for a reason, and we've done good. Caroline and I have done a lot of business on a handshake, pretty much. I've sent a lot of money on a lot of deals. And our goal, as we've discussed, is to help others build their business in a more meaningful way. And what does that look like? And it's really identifying who you want to be, when you grow up. And we all have our superpowers. We have things that we're good at and things we're not good at. And I think it's identifying that and really playing on other strengths and aligning with people who, share your values. My goal is not to be like Steve Jobs. I know, or Bill Gates. I know there was a lot of family time that they sacrificed to build their empire. That's not my objective. I'm more of a community guy. I want to be the scoutmaster, taking the scouts out. And if it means making less money and getting to know my kids and being intentional, I'm okay with that. We don't take anything with us. I've said it before. There is no U-Haul attached to your hearse when you leave this life. It is the relationships that I believe we're going to take with us. And this group right here, I like to align myself with good people. You're the sum of the 5 people with whom you most closely associate with. And so elevate yourself, hang out with those Michael Jordans in the world and learn.
And this actually leads me into something we have not talked about this publicly, but the 3 of us have talked about this privately. But I'm curious because we have 68 people on here right now, and I know there's more people on Instagram on Instagram Live. So if you guys are on Instagram Live, come over to YouTube so we can see a poll. But I just go over to your keyboard really quickly. We've talked about this because we had so much fun in Utah. If we did like a little mini workshop or some sort of mastermind, or one, obviously we'd go over pre-foreclosure things. But if you guys got to hang around people, like we just did one in Utah with a smaller one with just the community that we had there. We had so many people like, hey, I have money just sitting here. I'd like to invest with you guys because Bobby, you're putting your money where your mouth is. I'd like to get involved with deals. If we did some kind of like little, we've talked about doing a vacation before, but like a little workshop vacation where we have our Scoutmaster show us how to make fires and stuff. And we can show you guys at least what's worked for us. Would you guys be interested in, like Lindsay just said, I'll never miss another one. Would you guys be interested in coming out if we did like a little workshop, probably in the beginning of the summer? I know the trip to Vietnam's happening. There's a lot going on, and Bobby's got an entire family he's helping raise still. So would you guys be interested in some sort of workshop with us where we can at least show you, because we've talked about it, like how can we get more people involved in business and getting out of their own way? Wow. Okay. So the side chat's going pretty crazy. Well, it looks like there might be some.
It was such an interesting thing that we did and created. And again, I like the gatherings, I like the learning, and I like the fun. And when you mix all of the above, where your business and your entertainment just kind of blends in, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it was so fun going to Snowbird with the gang, and we're flying down the mountain, having a good time, having lunch together, talking about deals, talking about business, and then there's some focus time, just focusing on deals and still getting to know one another. But I think the message for me is this business, there is a lot to know. I don't want to misrepresent that anybody can jump in and succeed, but I also want to say really anybody can jump in and succeed. It is a mindset. If you believe you can do it, you really can. My dad's got a postdoctorate, PhD and education. And I'm like, not my path. I like the business thing, and I've been thinking that way since I was a kid. So if that is your mindset that I can accomplish, I do like to build. The mindset that doesn't work is a lot of people want to sit back and not do anything and then make tons of money. And that's not a reality, unfortunately. I hear a lot of, my daughter just got married a couple weeks, been about a month ago. And she said, nothing gives me more ick than hearing a guy say, I want to be an entrepreneur. It's just like, I said, cool, ask him, tell me about that. Tell me about your entrepreneurialist spirit. What do you want to do? Well, I don't know. Do you have any ideas? Well, I don't really have any ideas. And it's just like, you're not an entrepreneur then. You got to have a game plan. You got to understand it's not, I just want to be rich. That's not a goal. So this business does afford so many different ways, real estate to connect with people, to do deals in a very, low risk way. If you want to go all in, there's opportunities to do that as well. And if you say, hey, I don't have money. Okay, great. Are you open to calling? Great. There's a place on the team. Or no, I don't want to call anybody, but I do have money. I just want to watch my money roll. Cool. There's an opportunity.
Or I don't want to call anybody. We can talk about Shino. I don't want to call anybody. I want to knock doors. How cool has it been seeing Shino? I was just Bobby, Marlon got to meet Shino. What do you think about Shino?
Shino is hilarious. She's one of my favorite people. Like Shino, I hope Shino's watching this right now, because I tell her every time I talk to her, and we were just talking to her last week, one of our favorite people, and she found her niche inside of this, right? And again, it comes back to this. She found where she felt comfortable starting, and then she started small, which was just simply knocking on her first door. And that's Shino's vibe. And that's what she was like, okay, I can take this little action. You told me to go knock on a door. I'm going to go knock on a door. And she did that. And like, I don't know what to say next. Cool. We'll come back, because now you've learned knock on door. Cool. Now, what do I say when they come to the door? And she learned piece by piece, little by little. And that's what being around the right people, they can help you just point out not the enormity of everything that needs to be accomplished, but simply to guide the next step based on, hey, well, we've been there, we've been through this. And I like normalizing the fact that this entire business entrepreneurship, that life takes work and effort. I kind of want to make work and effort cool again, because in this desire, in this mad race to this, unicorn thing called passive income, that it's not really a real thing. It's a dream that we get sold on that hopefully maybe gets you moving. But once you realize work is involved, you look for the people like the Carolines, like the Bobbies, where, like, Bobby, you work a lot. You don't have to work, but you choose to still get up and to work, and you chase your curiosity, you chase your passion, and you're building, right? Entrepreneurs, we build. That's what we're doing. We find the projects we're interested in, that we're curious about, and then we build, and we're willing to start building small, even when the rest of the world might look and judge and say, why are you wasting your time with me?
Yeah. And I would say, right, retirement, I would say this for both of you as well, even though I've never heard you say this, retirement isn't a word in our vocabulary.
It's not in the Bible either.
It's not in the Bible. Like, I've looked. I asked ChatGPT, where does the Bible talk about retirement? It doesn't.
Yeah.
It was we made it up.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Yeah, it is. It's an interesting. Yeah, we could have a whole 2-hour discussion on that. I think the point is the quality of life is more when people say, it used to be this, I want to do a foreclosure. And I realized you don't really want to do a foreclosure. As I would unpack that comment. It's, I want to find a property at a good value and buy it and sell it and make some money. Because with a foreclosure, there's a lot of, nuances to that. Retirement's the same thing. I want to retire. I don't really think you do want to retire. If you retire, you rot. If retirement is sitting on your front porch drinking a lemonade, your brain rots, your body rots. Retirement, if we're going to use that word in context of what we all want to do, it's more, we want to have this, and I hate the work-life balance as well, but we want to have this life where we are working, our brain is engaged, our body's engaged, and we're making a difference and an impact, right?
You're passionate about it too.
That's what retirement is.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's funny because, like, it's I remember I threw away, must have been 4.5, maybe 5 years ago. I threw away work-life balance because I tried, and it nearly got me killed because it wasn't working. I was like, all I'm doing is failing at 2 things simultaneously. So I started to discover work-life integration, where you figure out how to make life not a this or that game, but a this and that. And that's the creative process. And earlier today, Caroline, you were there for this. I was on the phone with one of my contractors, great guy. He's out in Milwaukee, where my portfolio is, and he's owned 120 plus houses throughout Milwaukee, managed all of them himself. The guy is independently wealthy, great guy. And you know what he does? He's our handyman. He's basically our property manager. And he still has his properties. He still has his cash flow. He still has everything that he needs. He's financially set. He does not need our money, but he continues to work. Why? Because he has a passion for it. He has a passion for working with his hands. He's in his later 50s, almost early 60s, but he likes to just be hands-on. And he also doesn't like that little guys get screwed over, essentially, by a lot of property managers and contractors. So he likes to be that person that he's solving a problem that he's seen in the marketplace. Now, get this. As I was talking to him today, I was like, hey, Todd, so, what do you got going on? He's like, well, I just got to finish up work by 2:00 so I could go catch my flight. I said, where are you going? Going to Panama. What's going on in Panama? Oh, I do this every month. I go out and I travel somewhere unique and fun and play for about a week and a half or 2 weeks. And, I do this. And I was just skiing out in Utah last month. And next month we're going to go and travel here. And he's created this life where he's still working, he's still purposeful, and then he also has found a way to combine his passions of traveling, of seeing new people, seeing new places. And this is, in my opinion, a better, a more holistic idea of what we can create, and to stop creating this imaginary, I'm going to run away from work, I'm going to get rich from sitting on my butt scrolling on TikTok. Like, if you figure out that scenario and that formula, reach out to us, because I want to dissect that formula and see how it's actually working. But it doesn't exist. That something for nothing reality, it doesn't exist.
Yeah. And I can say this, money doesn't bring happiness. We've talked about this before. We sold our company. I took a year off, and I've heli skied. I've hunted caribou up in the Kuujjuaq in Montreal, motorcycling, around it doesn't bring happiness when there's this pendulum of one or the other. You've got to have this balance. And mine is church, work, and family. And work is always a part of that equation. That's the balance that people are, talking about. It isn't play. If your whole goal is play, it's like eating a bag of chips and Twinkies, every day. You think it's fun, you think it is, but it's empty calories.
Yep.
It's empty calories, and it feels gross when you do it. And I know there's this allure for people that are trapped and stuck in the rat race that grass is greener, and that's really my objective, and that's not it. You've got to learn to be happy with yourself now and who you are, and then work on the change of your environment. If this job, if the job is not bringing you happiness or satisfaction, again, learn to supplement that income until it replaces that income. And it's not passive, it's residual. There's nothing in life, nothing that I've ever gotten, and I've worked since I was 9 years old, always had what you call a job. But it just takes effort. I hate to, tell you about Santa Claus and work, some of the facts of life, but it does take effort, no matter what you do.
I think this is why I enjoy having these conversations, because from the outside, when I've learned people can't read our thoughts. Funny enough, I used to think people could. I'm not kidding, where I was so convinced that other people could read my mind that if I ever thought something bad about someone, I would get upset and I would start apologizing in my mind, even though I never voiced it, because I was that convinced that people actually could read my thought. And so people can't read our thoughts. And therefore, I think there's a tendency for when they see externally just pieces of your life. They see the little highlight reel. They see the post of you're closing this deal. They see that you made this amount of money last year, whatever the case is. They fill in the blanks of what they believe your thought process is, what your work ethic looks like. And that's why I like to come in, really normalize the conversation around the fact that, like, Caroline works her butt off. Bobby, you work your butt off. Yeah. Like the bit of time I got to see you in Utah, I'm like, man, this man is really on the phone nonstop, talking to sellers, talking to other entrepreneurs, talking to people who just need guidance, like constantly serving. And then you're bouncing over, making sure that you're taking care of your family, taking care of your kids. And I'm like, okay, he is in grind mode. And at the same time, there's a smile on your face all throughout.
I'm happy.
Enjoying
I wouldn't want it any other way. Matter of fact, when I go to the beach, my wife has to say, can you just relax for a minute? And I'm like, let's go hiking. Let's go jump off a cliff somewhere. I mean, that's relaxing to me.
Yeah, the same. But I think that's why we get along so well, because we like being busy. We like doing stuff. We feel like we're accomplishing things. And then also, like, what's the emotional income we get when we make a difference in somebody's lives?
Yeah.
It's huge. It's a massive payoff. And so for the people inside here, like, as you're listening, as you're on your personal journey, start to look for the things that do wake you up inside, that do speak to you, that speak to your curiosity, that speak to your purpose. What are the things that you can find as an area to start where you are just called and compelled to stay up late at night studying this, to start taking action on it? And the big thing too is I want to warn against this trap of, it's okay to take action on something that doesn't end up becoming your permanent thing, right? Like it's okay to get into this place of experience. It's like dating, right? It's okay to date your business, your entrepreneurial goal, because sometimes I know people are thinking like, well, is this going to be the thing I do for the next 20, 30 years? Well, guess what? You don't know. Like, you don't actually fully know until you start getting into it and you start learning about it and learning from it and learning through going in, like, just deeper. Right. And so, like, I just want to give people that permission, because I think people are also afraid to make the choice to commit, because they're afraid that, well, if I find out I'm wrong 5 years down the road, I won't be able to. Yeah, I wasted time. I can't. It's like, it's not a waste of time. It's never a waste of time if you're fully committed to the season that you're in. It's impossible to waste time.
No, and you're learning too. That was actually, I told you about that podcast I listened to. She did a really good example. It was like dating. It was Jay Shetty. I can't remember something Gottlieb was the woman, and he was talking about, and a lot of people are, am I behind my peers at 28 if I'm not in a relationship? I think it was the starting question. And the lady, so somebody was like, started dating at 32, and she's like, I would rather go in and, like, she told a couple to get into couples therapy when they started dating. And when she did that, she's like, well, and she said, go into couples therapy and let's see what happens in 6 months. She's like, 6 months? I don't have 6 months to waste. And she's like, you're not wasting the 6 months if you're learning. And she said she went on the date with, you'll be my date for this example, went on a date with this guy. And she's like, he was so boring. I didn't want to be with him again. Like, it was an awful first date. And the therapist was like, well, how did you feel on the first date? Well, I felt really comfortable and I felt like I was myself in my own skin. And she's like, well, if you felt good, wouldn't you want to try and go on a date with him again? See if there's something under the hood even further. Found out, interviewed couples who'd been together for like 30, 50 years. And they went back and like, if they journaled, found out most of them on their first date, they said, Marlon was kind of boring. I didn't really care for him. And then when they asked them about it, like at the 30-year anniversary, what did you think about Marlon on your first date? Oh my gosh, there were sparks. He was incredible because they did the work over time. So in our head, we're like, this isn't happening fast enough. Like, I think we see this a lot, Bobby, all of us, when we're talking to people and they want help on a deal. I've got to get there faster. I got to make money today. I got to make money today. But sometimes you have to slow down. You have to put the car in reverse to go forward. And then you realize, oh, I went down a one way. This isn't the direction I want to go. Let me turn around and go down the correct highway or whatever I'm in. So I thought that was an interesting perspective as well.
Yeah. There's a quote I want to share. It's an Albert Einstein. He says, your measure of intelligence is the ability to change. Right. So I look back, there was a song I remember in high school. It was going on up to the spirit in the sky. That's where I'm going to go when I die. Right. That was the song that I wanted played at my funeral. I look back now as a more mature adult and I thought, what a dumb thought. Playing at my funeral. I want church hymns. I want God be with you till we meet again, type of. It is okay. I think we get stuck in if I set a goal and I don't achieve that goal, I am going, X is failure. Sometimes goals need to be realigned. Sometimes you need to change the trajectory. If I was everything I thought I should have been at 17, 18, and 19, I'd probably live in I'm not going to say a double wide somewhere, but
a van down by the river.
Yeah, there you go. That's a better analogy because people do live in double wides, and that's not a knock on them. But we don't understand what the future presents. We have to be okay to pivot sometimes in life. Life that is another Albert Einstein quote. Life's like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. Yes. So if you want to ride that bike, you've got to put in effort and you've got to change, the direction you're moving your steering wheel. And that is success. It's not just sitting on the bike. I love mountain biking. I love road biking. I've got to keep pedaling, and it takes me to different places than I expected. And I think, I don't know why as humans, we reject that notion that life can change and we're somehow failing if we're not hitting the destination we thought the destination should be. Most of us have a wake-up call at certain aspects of our life. My life's my daughter just said she's having a quarter life crisis. She just turned 25. I'm like, honey, crisis. Well, I thought this, and this, and cool. You're doing awesome. Incredible human, gives so much. She donates her time to play the piano for a Spanish community down in Provo. Every week she goes and donates her time. She's an incredible pianist and she has, 25, 30 students, makes a lot of money doing it, but she continues to give her time. And I'm like, that is a good thing. And let's focus on the good that you're doing and not where you think you should be because you're a newlywed and you're poor. I'm like, you actually have quite a bit of money for a newlywed, So it's changing our mindset on how we look at life is what, and I think, Marlon, that's what you do, is help people. They are the same human, the same arms, same legs, same hands, same head, but thinking differently, changing your brain to put yourself on a different path than what you're on, right?
100%. I mean, and that's it's so interesting. The big thing is people don't realize you've been given this ability to wield your focus, to wield your attention, to wield what it is you choose to concentrate on. No one else can ever force you to concentrate and focus on anything that you do not want to concentrate and focus on. Yeah. And yet so often we look backwards or we look forward and we see the gap in front of us of where we are to where we want to be. And we don't acknowledge the season we're in. We don't play to the season that we're in. Because again, like we're trying to measure and figure out the future. Be present in the moment. Trust. Have God and take action now in the moment. I mean, everything that I've created as success, everything that Caroline, everything that you, Bobby, has created as success, I would imagine that it's like mine, where it was this fumbling forward and figuring it out on the go. That the only thing you had to have faith in was your ability to stay aligned and to find the answer just in time. Like I tell people, I don't want you, a lot of people, they get back into this place of, oh, I got to learn everything before I take action. So I'm learning just in case. I'm getting information just what if I need to know about a memorandum? But what if the US government sends somebody in and then there's a lien that I didn't know about? And so I need to know, like, but have you made your first phone call yet?
Yeah.
Trust in your ability to get the answer just in time. Trust that if you honor the season you're in, you're going to go out, you're going to create chaos. And then from that chaos, you're going to have an opportunity to fix it and to learn how to build something useful. Trust.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask, just because we're coming to the end of time here, and we have an announcement that we're going to make for everybody on here about a super secret Zoom that we're going to be doing. But I wanted to ask you just to recap this, because we said how to take your next big step. So if we can look at just condensing what we've covered in here, we all didn't know where we were going to end up. We had no idea we were going to be on this podcast on St. Patrick's Day of all days, like
the greatest day ever.
Yeah, geez, come on. Exactly. But my question would be for everybody in here because like I've even felt it. I know I wanted to get into real estate, but I didn't know what my next first step needed to be. So I know you do this. Bobby and I talked about this. We need to do this with meetings on our business. But would you say the first big step should be maybe like a brain dump, putting all of your thoughts out on a piece of paper? And how would you do that?
Yeah. So something I do is I take a book out of Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger out of their book, which is if you guys don't know Warren Buffett, and if you don't know the late, great Charlie Munger, some of the greatest investors of our time, some of the greatest thought leaders of our time. And so I enjoy learning from people older and wiser with more experience. And they coined a lot of their success from what they coined contrarian thinking. So this is, if everybody is freaking out, they get greedy. Like when everyone's fearful, they're running into the market. When everyone's running out of the market, they're getting in. When everyone's getting out, I think I just said the same thing twice, but effectively they do the opposite of what the masses are doing. And so what they recognize is the brain, right? Our human brain, it's not there to actually make our lives easier. It's not there to give us pleasant thoughts. It's there to keep us alive and to protect us. So the brain is like a homing missile on all the negative things in the world that can possibly hurt us. And sometimes people struggle to figure out what they want positive out of their life, but they can give you a whole list of all the negatives.
I don't want that. I don't want that. Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, cool. Let's work with your nature. Let's work with the fact that your brain can give you the list of all the negatives like that. Write that down. Brain dump all the things in life you don't desire. I don't want to live in a beat up little house. I don't want to live in this neighborhood. I don't want a job that I hate going to. I don't. Cool. Write it all out. Because now that you have that list, what I want you to do is I want you to get a fresh sheet of paper and tell me what the opposite of each of those things are. Because Oprah Winfrey said this. She said, if you don't know what it is you want and where it is you want to go, the perfect place to be is to start by knowing what you don't want and where you don't want to go. Because that's going to give you the blueprint, the framework for creating what you do want and where you do want to go. So don't look at it as a negative. It's all about the perspective. It really is the mindset on how you look at it. So Caroline's point, I would take a brain dump and just spill it all on the paper and do it with a pen and paper. Do not just do this exercise in your mind, because if you're not going to write it down, you're telling me you don't take your life serious enough. You don't take yourself serious enough to really capture your own thoughts and to truly have this meeting, this conversation with yourself.
Could it take an hour?
Well,
Bobby.
By the way,
you threw out Oprah Winfrey. We talked about this maybe a little earlier, but she was fired from her first job as a news anchor because she was told she wasn't fit for TV, right? How do you feel about that? Look at Oprah now, right? So we can't look at situations, at least our individual situation, and look at failure. I mean, getting fired from your first job as a news anchor, that's a pretty big deal. I would have taken that kind of personally. Two approaches is you walk out and you tell them where to go and how to get there, or you look at it and say, must not have been the fit for me. And it is a psychology that you've got to be able to say, you know what, it's all good. I fell off the horse. The horse is still there. I'm still here. Nothing broken. Don't need to go to the hospital. Getting back on the horse. Right.
I agree with that. So let's break it down for everybody here. 10 minutes of what we don't want. Maybe it shouldn't even take that long. Next up, and I see there's some comments over here. So Bana, I'm looking at Marlon's screen. Mine's down here. Bana said, not being able to help people in pre-foreclosure more and learning not to let my emotions get in the way. And then Abraham said, same for me. Even though I've already door knocked before, it just scares me thinking about it. So for every, there you go. Maybe we should share notes. So if you guys are overwhelmed, at least you know the starting point. Okay, this does scare me, but growth, like we get better just on the other side of fear. I think you said this the other day, Bobby. To grow muscles, we have to tear them down. We have to tear our muscles apart for them to get stronger. So you're only going to feel more comfortable once you've gone through the fight. Once you've done it, your risk, what did we just talk about? The risk tolerance is, originally that was really painful. The risk tolerance was up here, but now that we've gotten accustomed to it, the risk tolerance comes down here.
Yep.
I'm ready for the next chapter. So if you're listening to this live or if you're doing the recording afterwards, take 10 minutes, write out what you don't want. And if you're in here because you've heard about us from real estate and you're watching this, reach out to us. If you message me or Bobby, really me right now, we're going to set Bobby up. But if you message, my name's not on there, but it's Caroline Kane at the Caroline Kane on Instagram. Message me the word data. We'll give you the data that you need to get started with. You can start calling so we can reach out to homeowners. And with our special Zoom that we're going to be doing tomorrow, we're going to be giving that link out after this. You guys are welcome to come in and ask us questions, but we're actually going to be, actually, Bobby, should we talk about what we're going to be doing? We're at the end of this here. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I'll share a little bonus at the end.
Okay, perfect. So I was
going to say, put my link in because I don't even know what it is.
Gotcha.
Thank you for following. But I would love a forum. This is Marlon's, hour of power is what I call it. But I would love a forum where people can ask us questions and we can just sit here and answer. What can we do to help? How can we help people? What is struggling? Door knocking is hard. People in the side chat said it's hard. Guess what? If it wasn't, everybody would be doing it. That's the beauty. And when you go out and knock that door, I did it as an 8th grade. And, it was a contest to see who could sell the most starts to the newspaper. We had moved to a new community, ended up winning a trip to Disneyland, Universal Studios, everything as a little kid. And of course, door knocking's hard. But I'm like, these are people that you just have to be like Shino. Shino is like a little ninja on the door. You just have to change your mindset, go knock, and what are they going to do? Right?
What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, you might get shot, but then you're dead and then you've graduated from this life. Bonus, right?
Don't do anything that's going to make you feel unsafe. but yeah, no.
I'm teasing.
I know you are. I'm just going to say it for the disclaimer there. But this is guys, if you have not already, we put it in the side chat and it's on screen. This is Bobby the Bank Whisperer's Instagram. What we're going to be doing tomorrow is we're going to be doing a private Zoom with people who followed Bobby. Originally, it was just for the first 100. So for those of you first 100 that followed Bobby, I have an extra special bonus for you. I'll tell you about it later. But if you guys follow Bobby in the next 10 minutes on his Instagram, or if you actually give it to the end of the day, if you follow him by the end of the day today, I'll give you guys the opportunity to win the raffle of a few extra seats we're going to allow into the Zoom tomorrow. It's going to be 11 a.m. Arizona time, which is 12 o'clock Bobby time, Mountain time. So 11 a.m. PST tomorrow and 12 p.m. PST, MST. We will be live in a private Zoom. It's not going to be released to the public. We're going to be helping you out. And something that Bobby and I talked about is we're actually going to be funding one deal from somebody who shows up to the Zoom. We're going to do everything, help you from start to finish with that deal, all the way through the process so you guys can see how deals are done. All you have to do is reach out to homeowners who need help. Maybe there's somebody who's decided, I don't want to stay here anymore and I want to sell. We will help you through start to finish, showing you how to get the homeowner as much money as possible they can get and how we can make this a great opportunity for all of us. So, yep, no money, FOMO money. I like that. No
I just
money,
made that up.
FOMO money.
See how that brain works? Boom, boom, boom.
Very quick.
But I thought that's something we talked about. A lot of people have the mindset, you know what? I don't have any money to do it. Great. Let me fund it. I'll write the check out. You bring a deal to us. You've knocked a door. You think it has legs. We'll run it through the team. Make sure we underwrite it. We will do everything soup to nuts, close it, and you get a check. So we're going to be doing that. I'm going to be sending out that Zoom link later today. So pay attention if you have not already. It's going to be going out to the select few that are on Bobby's Instagram. Make sure you follow that so you guys can be included. And if you guys do ask for the data, if you get into my texting ability, we're working on some extra stuff behind the scenes so you guys can be inside of a group chat with myself and Bobby to interact with us some more. So look, there you go. So Benna just said, if I followed after the one, you might win that raffle, Benna, what I was just saying. So we're going to have a raffle for a few extra seats. We'll let in for the first, it was just the 100 people we decided we're going to open up a few extra seats for people that have followed them after the fact. So And
add a few
I would
things
say
around.
this, why are we following me? I hate social media, just so you know. My cybersecurity, HIPAA compliance background with our business we built, we want to give back. And Caroline has said, look, you have a lot to say and share relative to helping families and homeowners. We've done it a lot. I wrote a book on foreclosures. I'm in the process of rewriting that, updating it, and I give it out for free. It's not like you pay anything for it, but it's fun to help people. And so Caroline is helping me with this venue, and we'll post tips, how to talk to the banks, how to, what to say, what to do, so that you're more proficient in your efforts to try to do a real estate transaction, either your first or your 1,000th. There's something that everybody can learn. So I think that's the why we're trying to do this.
I don't know. Were you going to share your little message you told me about Alexis?
Oh yeah, you know what?
We
I will share that. But real quick, before I do share that, I gotta say this. I have been absolutely mind-blowingly impressed with Caroline and Bobby on the lives they do every Thursday. You guys do a live every single Thursday on Caroline's YouTube channel. If you have not been attending that, you are making the greatest mistake. I am someone that I've invested well over 6 figures into my personal development. I've invested a lot of money between mentors, coaching program, education, courses, all you name it, I've probably bought it already. And what y'all give away for free is, in my opinion, something that if you sold it for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, I would have purchased, and I would not have. I bought things and I'm like, that was a waste of money, right? Like, not everything I bought was great. That would be something where I would have bought and I would have been like, I still owe them more money. The amount of value, and it's wild to me. It is absolutely wild, the amount of value that you put out for free consistently every week. There's no fluff.
And I want to just share, Brian had a question. How much does it cost to get more education using platforms to start wholesaling? Okay, that was different. I thought he was going to say, how much are we charging? And I'm going to say, there is no program. We don't have a course that we sell you, just so you know. That this is not baiting you into sign up for our coaching program. That doesn't exist. We are trying to help homeowners. We're trying to help families, and we're trying to help you if this is something you want to get into. I've taught Caroline, hey, I'm okay to, allocate a couple hours a day. If somebody wanted to learn more and they wanted to pay to play, great. But we don't have a program, if that's the question. You guys frozen?
I love that. And so are we frozen?
I think we have a delay with him.
Yeah, we have like a delay.
So we'll let you wrap it up and we'll bring it home.
But you know what? To Caroline's point though, I made a mention to her earlier. So there's someone that hopefully you guys know. If you don't know her, her name's Alexis Morgan. We absolutely love and adore this girl. I was fortunate enough that I got to work with her at the very beginning of her entrepreneurial career. She came to me for coaching. I love this girl. Like, she's one of my favorite, like, I call her like the star pupil. Like, when I point to like people like, what sort of results can I get? I'm like, look at this girl, but she did the work. And so just about a week and a half ago, Alexis hosted her own mastermind alongside Abraham Gray. And they had a couple hundred people fly out to, I believe, Texas, packed room, 7, 8, 9-figure entrepreneurs, teaching, learning about lending, millions of dollars raised, you name it, great stuff. And then just 2 or 3 days after her having been the leader on stage of this room, you know what she did? She got on a plane, flew out to Vegas, and attended another seminar for herself. And she said, I just got off the biggest stage speaking as a presenter, and now the very next day, I am putting myself in a room with people smarter than me, with people further ahead than me, and I am the newbie. I'm the person, I'm the dumbest, smallest person in this room, and this is how I've been able to grow. I'm constantly, and like, notice there's not a big break in between. It's like just a few days later, hours, 48 hours later, she's already repositioning herself to continue to learning, to continue, as Bobby said earlier, riding that bicycle and pedaling forward, because that momentum, it's either working for you or against you. And it's your job to make sure it's working for you by continuously pushing forward. And so being around Caroline, being around Bobby, these are the sort of people you want to connect with, that you want to spend time with. And we're going to encourage you to take imperfect action. I'm giving you, if no one's ever given you permission in your life, I'm giving it to you right now. Take all the imperfect action. Go and make mistakes. It is a judgment-free zone when you show up into my world, when you show up into Caroline's world, when you show up into Bobby's world. You tell us you messed up the biggest deal of your life, we're going to applaud you.
Yeah.
Say
We
great
encourage it.
freaking job.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's go do it again. Let's do it a little bit better this time. And we're gonna not just tell you how to do it better. We're gonna literally hold your hand and
Do it
walk
with
you
you.
through it.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm excited. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you go and follow Bobby. There's not a lot of people I promote and say this is someone worth your attention. However, if you're building business, if you're building real estate, and you're building a holistic life, go and follow Bobby. I really don't know as many people as good as this.
Well,
And I'll commit to actually post some stuff on there.
Yeah.
Carolyn got me to get the account that I've resisted my entire life to get. And so we have it, and we'll make sure it's meaningful. And we do post the things that tactical that you can take, and apply. So
well, thanks for having us on here, Marlon. I know
Yes.
we're having a little bit of a delay issue, so we'll catch up with everybody again later. You have your podcast tomorrow night with Sam.
Tomorrow night, yep.
And what time is that?
5
Eric?
o'clock Arizona time. Think Big Podcast, episode 125, I think. I think we're on 125.
Wow.
Moving. So it's PST right now because of the time change. So on Thursday, you'll see Bobby and myself at 12 o'clock Arizona time as well. Guys, I'm going to be sending out that Zoom link for everybody who's on Bobby's Instagram page for the first 100. And we're going to give out those raffle seats. Actually, if you guys make a post, tag me and Bobby on your Instagram story and tell us why you should win that raffle seat for the few extra people that we're opening up, because it's going to be exclusive. I apologize if you showed up later, if you weren't watching us when we were live. Sucks to suck. You weren't here. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. So, Marlon, thanks for having us. Bobby, thank you for squeezing us in. We'll see you guys next time.